Hare Krishna, everybody. It's Rati Manjari again, still alive and kicking in Vrindavan Dham. And as I promised you earlier today, that I was going to meet a special devotee and a new friend that here in Vrindavan, and her name is Her Grace Krishna Nandini Devi Dasi or Dasi, and she is Srila Prabhupada's disciple of a long time ago when she was really young, and she joined ISKCON when she was young, and has a special story, which I would like to share some or explore with her, and share with whoever is gonna watch this. It's different. It's different because you gotta entertain, but it's not just entertainment. You'll see. Okay, so we have one live already. Welcome. And hope you enjoy to meet this very special soul. And that's why I call it kindred spirits. I feel a kinship. I don't know why, but let's see if you can feel it too. So here she is. It's Hare Krishna,
Hare Krishna,
Mataji.
everyone.
It's Rati, and this is Krishna Nandini.
Yes, very nice to be with you, Rati.
Yes, so thank you for giving us your time. As I told my viewers, I have accrued, I don't have a pole. I'm going to be tired with my arm. The camera is not going to be first class, but the content is, folks. You'll see. Okay, so would you like to tell us a little bit about yourself? Like, how did you join? What's your story?
Okay. I was raised in a predominantly Christian environment.
Mm-hmm.
My grandfather was a Christian minister. My uncles were ministers. My mother was an evangelist, and my grandmother was a deaconess, and great aunts were ministers. So we grew up in a lot of theological environment.
Yeah.
And I went to a Seventh-day Adventist school for several years,
Mm-hmm.
and we eventually became more connected with the Pentecostal faith and the Seventh-day Adventist faith, even though my grandfather and grandmother were Baptists, Southern Baptists. Precious Lord, hold my hand, lead me on, let me stand.
Yeah.
And so I went to the University of Chicago when I was 17. And, it was a whole new world. I was a naive young girl in Chicago in the 1969 era.
Wow.
Was exploding with civil rights and hippies and feminist rights and so many different movements for change.
Yes.
And so I went to the university, and my mother came to visit me and gave me a Bhagavad Gita.
Really?
Yeah. My mother actually became acquainted with the Hare Krishna movement in 1970. And then in 1971, she gave up all her furniture and became a Hare Krishna.
What?
Without ever meeting Prabhupada, just having read his books. So
She gave up the furniture?
yeah, I gave everything up, sold it, and donated to the temple, started sleeping on the floor, taking cold showers.
My God.
So I had gone to the University of Chicago, and I went for a year, and then I met a young man and got married, took a leave of absence, and my mother gave me the Bhagavad Gita. And I read the Bhagavad Gita, and when I read the Bhagavad Gita, it resonated. Krishna's God, the one we had learned about when we were little, but with much more detail.
Yeah.
And that Prabhupada was my spiritual master. And so I shared that with my husband, and we started chanting 3 rounds. Now, at that time, we were isolated in Chicago. I didn't know any other devotees. My mother was back in Cleveland, Ohio, which was a fair distance from Chicago. But we started chanting 3 rounds every day. And we stopped eating meat, fish and eggs. And we just started adapting the principles. And at some point, I wanted to be with the devotees. So the only devotees I knew was my mother. So I consulted with my husband, and I said, look, this is something, we want to get deeper with. And he was kind of favorable too. We were so young. I mean, I'm 19, 20, he's 21.
Wow.
And, he said, okay, well, I'll join you later, go on. So by this time I had a baby, and I took the baby and went to join my mother in Cleveland.
All without meeting Prabhupada?
All without meeting Prabhupada
Wow.
or any other devotees.
No.
No. And
Wow.
then there was a young lady, her name was Ayantha at the time. And she had come to stay with John, and I saw these young people in this house, and she chanted 3 rounds with us every day. So when I got ready to go, she said, I want to come. I want to be a devotee. So she and I and my little baby went to Cleveland to join my mother, who by this time had rented a house, and we practiced Krishna consciousness. Now, the house that my mother and stepfather had rented was not far from the Hare Krishna temple. So when my mother became a devotee, the first devotees that she related to were Sri Govinda and Sri Lekha. But by the time that I joined her at the end of 1971, the beginning of 1972, they had gone, and there was a new devotee there in charge of the temple. And that didn't work out so well for us, because that devotee gave us such a hard time trying to practice Krishna consciousness. My mother was very zealous, and so she gave us all Sanskrit names. All of her children and students started wearing tilak, the boys. You know, we just did everything. And he said, well, you can't do that until you're initiated, right? Now, also, at this time, we wrote Prabhupada, who was in India. And
You wrote Prabhupada?
We wrote Prabhupada. And he wrote us back at least 3 times. I think I'm pretty sure I still have those letters. Because we began to express to Prabhupada that we were having difficulty trying to worship at the Hare Krishna temple because, you know, we were in black bodies.
Yeah, was that it?
That's what And later, actually, the devotee told us that that was part of it and that we were women also. Because my mother was kind of a leader, even though she was married with my stepfather. And, you know, I guess it just, I don't know. So anyway, we ended up being arrested trying to go to the Hare Krishna temple. The temple president called the police. My mother got arrested. One of the other students got arrested. They stayed in jail for 3 days. And finally, the temple president dropped the charges. But my mother was such a unique person. So the whole time she was in jail, she just sang the Tavakar come along and never ate or drank. The whole time she was in jail.
Tapasvini.
Yeah, sang it so loud till the security guards would say, please stop singing that song. So when it got time for her to be released from jail,
they were very happy.
They were happy, but because the rules were that to be released, you had to sign a statement, I guess, absolving the jail administrators of any fault. My mother said, I didn't sign any papers to come in here, so I'm not signing any to come out. And they said, well, you have to go back to jail. So she turned around and said, come on, go back to jail. It was a very interesting time.
My God.
Called the Lord Dim Shrinkaday, right?
Oh, my God.
And so,
and then
anyway,
they let her go anyway.
They let her go.
Really,
She
huh?
never signed it. Yeah, the judge called
Johnny
a special
Shrinkaday.
meeting and all kinds of stuff.
Okay.
Of course, after that, we knew we couldn't go back to that Hare Krishna temple. And it was a very devastating time because
You were trying to take
we
shelter.
were trying to take shelter. Our family already thinks we're crazy because we're joining some cult.
Yeah.
And why wasn't Lord Jesus Christ enough? You know?
Ooh.
And then we're dressing in these strange clothes. And
Putting clay on your face.
So it just, So my mother prayed and we ended up being guided to go to Dallas, Texas. It's a very long story. I'm not going into it. It's like a miracle story because we had never been to Dallas.
Well, please tell.
Well, we just prayed and we were like, where to go to find shelter with the Hare Krishna community. Now, bear in mind, at that time, there were very few Hare Krishna communities.
Yeah.
And we didn't know all of them. And my first husband, came from Chicago, and he said, I'll drive you wherever you want to go. So my mother had to pray, and she just said, well, let's just get on the highway and go west. That was the guidance that Krishna gave her.
Go west?
Go west.
That's all?
That's it. And then, that's the American slogan, go west, young men, go west. But somehow the Lord in her heart. So it was my mother.
And you all just took that, that is it. then you just did it. You just followed
You
that
just followed it.
faith.
So while we're in the car driving on the highway, my mother would periodically pray, and she'd say, "Go this way." Now I know this sounds crazy, but this is literally what we did. Now in that car was my first husband. He was a driver. My younger brother Arthur was 14. Solomon was 12. Myself was 20. My baby was 2, and my youngest brother was there. He was 2.5. So just mostly children, 2 women, and my husband. And so at one point,
Going west.
you going west. And at one point, my husband said, "Well, I have some family in Arizona. Maybe we could go there." And my mother thought about it, but then Krishna wasn't directing that. So she said no. And then we tried to find out where was a Hare Krishna temple anywhere. We didn't know anyone. So finally, my mother just said, "Let's just go to Texas." And because Krishna, that's kind of the guidance he was giving her. And when we got to Texas, somehow we called and they said Dallas had a new temple there that had just been purchased, and they were going to have the very first Hare Krishna school. So we went to Dallas, and I imagine we were some raggedy-looking people. We had been in the car for 3 days. We didn't know where we were going, little babies, children. We come to this temple, and we knock on the door, and the temple president, I think he was Stoker Krishna, my mother said, "We're from Cleveland, and we're trying to practice Krishna consciousness, and we want to be a part of your community." So the temple president said, wait a minute. And he ran and called Cleveland, and the devotee in Cleveland said, "Oh, don't let them in, they're troublemakers." So he came back and he said, "I'm sorry, you all can't stay here." And then my mother said, "But Prabhu, we're just women and children. We have no family here. We don't know what to do. What, you're going to turn us away like that, and we're trying to serve Krishna?" So then he said, "Okay, you all can stay here, but only one night, because tomorrow Prabhupada will be here."
What?
Tomorrow!
Prabhupada. Wow.
We were, Rati Manjari, we were stunned, because we didn't have not even a clue that Prabhupada was in America. What to speak of coming to Dallas, Texas. We thought he was in India. And so,
Super soul.
yeah, Krishna directed. And we just cried.
That's Bhagavad Gita coming
Yes.
alive.
Yes, it was. So he said, "You all can stay one night." So he put us in a back room, and because they had bought this building,
Yeah.
and it had a parsonage, a church, and offices, a lot of space.
This is Gurley Avenue? Really?
This is a temple that they have now that they fixed up.
Yeah.
And Radhakala Chandi. So when Prabhupada came the next day, they said, "Prabhupada, there's this black woman and all of her children here," but it wasn't all of her children. And he said, "Tell her to come here." So my mother literally, the secretary got her, and she sat in Prabhupada's office for 6 hours.
6 hours?
6 hours while he took care of business, this and that. Of course, he probably asked her questions, and I was waiting because she was supposed to come back and get me. But she got caught up in the Prabhupada hype.
Yeah.
But anyway, the next day, we saw Prabhupada's secretary at the water fountain.
So you got to stay more than one night?
Oh, yeah. Once Prabhupada was there, that was
Oh, wow.
and
How was Prabhupada dealing with her?
Prabhupada dealt with her like a daughter that he loved.
Hmm.
He knew us. And the idea of...
Nice.
One of the reasons why we kept going to the temple was because when we wrote Prabhupada, he said, "These are my temples, and you're welcome."
Yeah.
So we went.
Yeah.
So anyway, the next day at the water fountain, Prabhupada's secretary said, "Prabhupada is going to do initiations tomorrow." And my mother said, "Oh, we want to be initiated." So he went and told Prabhupada, and Prabhupada said, "Ask her how many. How many does she want?" And at that time, there were some of Prabhupada's leading disciples that were advising him not to initiate us. They said, "Prabhupada, we don't know what their sadhana is. They're not affiliated with any temple. We don't know what they're doing." And then my mother then called my stepfather, who had stayed behind in Cleveland to work. Wherever we landed, he was going to financially help us. He got on a Greyhound bus and came there. So Radhastami, we got initiated. My mother, my stepfather, me, and 2 brothers. 5 family members. Group
So
shot.
encouraging.
Yo, it's so encouraging, Martha.
It's like-
Especially after all the hardship. Like there's so many details about that trip to Dallas that I'm not saying because it would take too long. But you know, to have the terrible experiences that we went through turn out with such a blessed event, you know there had to be a God. You
Yeah.
know He had to, you know.
It's like
It's-
coming home
Yes.
at Prabhupada's lotus feet.
Yes.
Yeah.
So Prabhupada
Wonderful.
initiated us. He gave us a huge Panchatattva deity. He told
Deity?
us that, yeah,
Deity?
the painting. The
Okay.
huge Pancha
He gave that to
deity,
you?
He gave it to us and told us that we could open a temple in the black community. He gave us permission and in fact told Saswat Maharaj to give us all facilities. He just gave us all support and love.
Like the whole
Yeah.
empowerment
everything.
package.
That's right.
Wonderful.
And so by this time, though, my husband John, he had been so disappointed and tired. It was a long trip, and the devotees, and everything was so strange. He just left. He left before Prabhupada came. I tried to ask him to please stay, but he did. But Prabhupada initiated us on Radhastami, and then later that day he installed the beautiful Radhakala Tenji deities. And that's why your guru, 25 years later, I came back for the installation ceremony to the anniversary.
Yeah.
And Tamal Krishna said, Mata, you're like an auntie to Radhakala Tenji because you were initiated first and then you were installed. I said, okay, I'll take the clout. But yeah, that was quite an experience, Rati.
Wow.
Quite an experience. And of course a lot more details, but that's sort of the summary.
It's like in with a bang,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Which year was this?
1972.
So long ago.
Yeah, 1972.
And now we are what? 2020. It's
What,
like,
48 years ago.
my God.
Yeah.
Yeah, and as I understand, you persisted.
Yes.
I mean, I never left, but I left some of my vows for quite a long time. But you didn't. You're here, and how many children do you have now?
I have 10 children.
10?
10
10?
children. 10. 5 boys
It's a
and 5
dynasty.
girls.
My God.
10 wonderful, lovely, beautiful children. And I have to say that because they are a blessing to me. They help me to be Krishna conscious. Because of them, you're raising children, Rati, and you feel responsible.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
know you can't
Yeah.
do it. So
Yeah.
you always say, Krishna, what to do? Krishna, help me. Krishna, these are your children. Krishna, Krishna, Krishna.
Krishna, Hare Krishna. Yeah.
So,
Yes. Wow. Yeah, and actually I've seen a few of the children, Hare Krishna. I've seen a few of the children. Mohan and Hari are here, and I mean, very nice, gentle, noble. I would say. Is that you understand that?
yes.
Noble,
yes,
like almost regal. The vibe is so pleasant, and that doesn't come out of the sky. That's a product of raising, and of course attracting like pious souls, I suppose. But it's also, what is it, nature and nurture. You seem to be very good at that. So could you tell some of your like guidelines, or did you have a vision, or did you kind of take your mother's vision, which probably was also very good?
My mother is, I'm writing a memoir.
Oh, you are?
And
What kind of a memoir about your life?
It's called Fanning the Spark.
Oh, a good title.
Yeah, the story of a girl, her gurus, and the gifts they gave the world.
That's the subtitle?
That's the subtitle. My gurus, Srila Prabhupada. Unbelievable gifts. Bhakti Tirtha Swami, my hero, godbrother, friend, Shiksha Guru. My mother, who was a Shiksha Guru and a blessed mentor all my life. And then my husband, who is a Muslim.
Really?
And we've been married almost 30 years. But he's been a guru for me. And together, I mean, he's chaste to Islam, and I'm chaste to the Hare Krishna movement. But we understand we're worshiping one God. And so together we try to do that. So in this book, I tell.
I mean, hello, that's. I mean, I follow it. I follow what she says, but isn't that amazing, guys? I mean, she's a Hare Krishna. She's married to a Muslim, which is, I understand, he's also significantly elder than you. That's another thing to overcome. It doesn't always go well. I know I've tried it. It doesn't always last. So, yeah, you seem to be able, you plural, seem to be able to bridge all these big differences, like even to deal with, with respect, being in a black body, or brown, beautiful brown, whatever, different color than like what is supposed to be like the best birth, with a lot of, it's crap, because if you're like a white materialist, you're going right to hell. I said it. But it's true. Karma's a bitch, It doesn't matter what color you are or what you think you are. If you're acting wrongly, you're going to feel the result. So to take a birth or to be in a body which is a minority by itself, and to be in this time that people were really, just coming. Your people were coming out of slavery practically, and severe discrimination.
Yes.
And then to embrace a philosophy which actually says that, we're not our body, but you still have to deal with the body you're in and with the people's opinions about your body, which you are not, but they won't accept that.
Yes.
You have to some or other, I can't even imagine what you and your family must have been through, even by people with a fat tilak on the face.
Oh, for sure, Martha. In fact,
I mean, that must be so disheartening.
Unfortunately, sometimes it's the people with the tilak on their face.
Tilak, by the way, is the thing she has, the mark on the sacred clay, which signifies the body as a temple and the person trying to be a devotee. Yeah. So just the fact that people want to try and embrace the path doesn't make us immediately on a high level on this path. So we may look the part, but our hearts may be so dirty and our vision may be so blurred that we don't actually know how to treat other people.
Exactly.
So that is part of our learning process, blah blah. But if you're on the receiving end and you have to be discriminated by people that supposedly supposed to give you shelter, that's a hard road to walk. Hard road. I don't know. I can just imagine it a little bit, but I haven't experienced it. So, just for that's why I saw you telling your story, folks. If you like what she's saying, and we have several viewers, 5 lives, and I'm sure many coming more, because your story is actually extraordinary. And I just happened to kind of, find it on YouTube accidentally, where you tell the whole story in Radikale Chanjidama. You tell the story of your little bit what you told now. So guys, if you like what she's saying, you want to know more details, then you can find this. I'll try later to post the link in some sane spot where I can find it. Do you know this link, actually?
Well, I think it says Radhastami 2012, Krishna Nandini Dallas.
Okay.
On YouTube.
Okay. Well, it's a great story. This is what introduced me to Mataji, and I was so happy to meet you live here in Vrindavan and be able to share your story a little bit, because you have a lot of quivers in your arrows in your quiver. You have a lot of things that you are enthusiastic about.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Right? Could you tell us a little bit about that?
I can, and Rati, I always like to think Krishna has a sense of humor.
Oh.
Because he'll take someone who's the minority and a minority and a minority, like you said, to be in a woman's body, to be in a black body, to be in a body in a family that's not wealthy.
Oh yeah.
All of those are not positives in our world today.
Obstacles.
But the beauty of our science, the beauty of Krishna consciousness is that Prabhupada came with a message to say you're not the body, you're eternal spirit soul.
Right.
Krishna loves you and he wants you back. And you have a right to have that inheritance from God. And don't let anybody take it from you. And so one time we were writing.
We're getting a lot of hearts, Krishna Nandini. A lot of hearts. Yeah, keep them coming. Keep them coming. We like them. We like them.
One
Yeah.
time we wrote Prabhupada a letter and we were saying, Prabhupada, these devotees, they're treating us not so nice just because we're black. And Prabhupada wrote us back a very liberating thing.
Well,
He said, if someone mistreats you because of the color of your skin, that is their ignorance. But if you accept it, that's your ignorance. Now you think about that, Rati Manjari, how much freedom that statement makes, because previously we were accepting everybody's ignorance.
yeah.
But then once Prabhupada said that, it gave us the tattva or the truth to say, you know what, if you do that, that's your ignorance, but I'm not accepting it. And that is the freedom.
That you can rise above.
You can rise above.
You
I
can
know
like liberate
that
yourself
I am
from that
eternal
level.
servant of Krishna, and so
Yeah.
are you.
Oh.
Yeah, so.
Wasn't that something that Bhakti Tirtha Maharaj asked? And
said
Prabhupada
a
wrote
similar
this to
thing
him. Yeah, okay.
Yeah,
Yeah, that was a turning point for him too.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
I remember reading that.
So
Okay.
this Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came to give us liberation, freedom for lifetimes of bondage and all kinds of crazy concepts. And to accept it is our birthright. You know, we don't have to let people tell us who we are, that
No.
designation, this designation.
Yeah, yeah.
I am an eternal servant of Krishna. I have a right to connect to Krishna and to whatever belongs to Krishna. See? So that's good. And I personally think, Rati, that the Lord is going to take women, He's going to take children, He's going to take all kinds of colors, and He's going to allow them to be examples for others, just to show the truth, that we're not the body. Look at Prahlad, he was 5 years old.
Yeah, Sukadev, 16.
Yeah.
Children are leading this movement
Yeah.
with the wisdom.
So all these containments or boxes that we want to keep people in, and it's not according to the spiritual science. They're gonna, this is liberation time.
Wow,
Yeah.
cool,
Yeah.
amazing. Wow, you sound very convinced and convincing.
Yeah. And one more thing, Raji, you had asked me what else am I
Passionate about. Yeah.
And that is, years ago, right after Prabhupada left the planet, I was given my mission, so to speak.
Oh.
I dreamed that Prabhupada had come back and he was giving darshan to devotees from all over the world. We were in a big temple hall, and there were people from Europe and Africa and China and America, South America, all kinds of devotees. And Prabhupada began to ask, how was everyone doing? Because Prabhupada was very compassionate. And I was just so happy because in the dream I wasn't too far from Prabhupada. And I was like, yeah. And so one by one, though, devotees began to tell Prabhupada their struggles in marriage.
Oh.
Yeah, the difficulties they were having, the pain, the misuse, the abuse of children.
Of
one by
actually
one.
married people.
Married people.
Uh-huh.
And Prabhupada listened, and a very compassionate look came over his face, Rati. And then he pointed to me. He said, you show them how to have a real Krishna conscious marriage.
Really?
I was stunned, Prabhu, because at the time I was divorced. I had a lot of young children, and I didn't know what a real Krishna conscious marriage was. So I looked him back at me, because I didn't think Prabhupada was talking to me. I looked, but he said, you show them. And that became such a heavy instruction in my heart. I began to write my god sisters and brothers, like, I got this instruction from Prabhupada what to do, And some people say, well, Krishna and Nandini, you already have children. Just make Krishna your husband. And others, they didn't know what to make of it. And so finally, one day...
So, I mean, did you feel that, like, I have to instruct married people and I'm not even married?
No,
Like-
I just didn't know how to do anything with that.
Okay.
Because in the dream, I said, but Prabhupada, I don't even have a husband. I did say that in the
Yeah,
dream.
yeah.
And he just looked at me, Raj, and he said, like, I've given you the instruction, now you do it. So a few years later, after struggling with this for a long time, because when the spiritual master gives you an instruction,
That clear.
it sits in your head.
Yeah.
And one day I just went in my deity room, I stretched out Dandavat before the deity, and I was crying. And I said, Prabhupada, Krishna, I don't know how to do, but I surrender. I surrender. after that, Rati, the Prabhupada, Krishna, they started putting all the pieces together. They sent the husband, they sent training, they sent people that begged me to teach them. They sent this wonderful group that I am a part of now, the Grahasta Vision Team.
What? What is that?
It's the Grahasta Vision Team. It's a
Grihasta? What's Grihasta mean?
Grahasta means householder or married family life.
Oh, okay.
So we have a group of devotees
Mm-hmm.
who have committed themselves to strengthening the folks in the marriage ashram, parents and children, husband and wives and leaders. And so we do seminars, we do retreats, we've written a book,
A book?
Heart and Soul Connection,
Oh,
a devotional guide to marriage, service, and love.
wow.
And this book now has been translated into Russian, Italian, Portuguese.
Really?
It's in the process of being translated into one of the Chinese languages.
Mm.
And so
Wow.
I'm just excited. I'm
Yeah,
just excited
that's a
because
lot of people.
this book is a labor of love written by very mature, committed devotees. And it talks about all the different comprehensive topics: communication, how to balance your sadhana, raising
Sadhana?
children. Yes.
You mean your daily practice?
Your daily
Uh-huh.
practice, like
Yeah.
when you're married. And see, Rati, sometimes people get confused about Grahasta.
Mm-hmm.
You have 4 ashrams or 4 spiritual shelters.
Okay.
You have the brahmachari, which is a student life. You have the married life.
Celibate, right?
Yes.
Brahmachari,
yeah,
ideally,
student-
anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
then married. And then
Okay.
vanaprastha, which is retiring.
Mm-hmm.
And then sannyas, which is renounced. Now, if we study very carefully the scientific approach that Prabhupada used about everything, he emphasized Brahmins. Why? Because there was a lack of Brahmins, right?
Brahmins are?
Brahmins are the spiritual leaders of the society, the
Like
ministers,
priests.
the teachers, the
Yeah, yeah,
priests,
yeah.
the scientists even, the philosophers.
Mm-hmm. Right, right.
Okay, so now it is time to emphasize Grahasta. Why? Because where in the world do you see a good example of spiritual family life? And most people are going to get married, right? It's
Wow.
very few people that's going to stay renounced
Okay,
forever.
I'm just gonna be the devil's advocate.
Yes, please.
Just for a little spice in the.
Yes,
I'm
spice it up.
I'm actually quite taken with your points. I mean, they're really good.
Yeah.
But just because we don't know who is looking and what
Yes,
you're thinking,
yes, for sure.
marriage. I mean, who's even taking the trouble to get married? Who wants that? This is Kali Yuga. Life is expensive. I take care of me. If you like me, you stay. If you don't, you go. I'm fine anyway. I'm not going to open my heart. I'm not going to commit like that. I'm not going to want all that trouble. I have my little, pills and things that can keep me from, making you pregnant or becoming pregnant. Marriage, that's so old-fashioned. It's so before 2020. I mean, do we have to do that?
Yeah, well, there's a social scientist, I can't remember his name now, but he said that he used to think that marriage was obsolete and that it wasn't necessary anymore.
Obsolete is like
It
what?
means,
Passe?
Passe, old.
Okay.
You
Yeah,
don't need
that's
it
what
anymore.
I'm saying. I'm saying it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he said, but then when he went back, Rati, to study all civilized societies, that the world and lasted long had good marriages, where people had commitment to one another, to their families. And when you began to see societies deteriorate,
Yeah.
was when the marriages were no longer that. He said he was astounded to find that kind of historical relevance.
Evidence.
So
yeah.
for us, though, because
Who's us now?
us are people who are trying to live some principle in their life, some spiritual principle, some recognition of God, some understanding.
So it
that
doesn't have to be Hare Krishna.
It doesn't
right?
have to be Hare Krishna.
Like people who want to maybe build a stable, good
Yes.
life with a actual foundation,
Yes.
something lasting that you can feel safe in. You can kind of a little bit depend on, even though
Yes.
everything is so fleeting.
Yes.
you know?
Everything
Okay.
has principles to it. Everything is a science.
Oh,
And so if you don't go according to the science, you get the results of the negative science. And that's what we're seeing in the world today.
And then people
So
are
marriage
experimenting.
yes, and they're not happy, Rati. No, who's happy?
No, that's why people don't want to commit anymore, because they see divorce left and right. Marriage is no protection.
Because they marry, number one, for the wrong reasons.
Which is?
The right reason is to have a team player to help you grow in life, both spiritually
But
and
what about
materially.
love?
And love will develop, because love is a natural consequence of service. The reason, how do mothers love their children so much? Because they serve them all the time. That unconditional love like that comes from service. So a man should think, here is a part of God that can be a gift to me, and I can serve her and help her. And a woman should think, here is a part of God that can be a gift to me, and I can serve him and help them. And with that mood, you will have a very good marriage.
But wouldn't that mean, if that is, we take that as like the foundation, it sounds nice. Would that mean that theoretically you can just marry anybody and just start
No.
serving them?
No, you should be careful. You should marry a compatible, like-minded person who has similar goals, similar values especially. For example, if you are a person who values life, then you want to find another person who values life. If you are a person...
What does that mean, values life?
If
Doesn't
you
everybody
see-
value life?
No, everybody doesn't, because why are all the animals being killed?
Ah, but that's animal life.
Yeah, but then we understand that life is the same in the animal as it is in the human being, as
Okay,
it is in the
so
plant.
you're talking soul now.
Yes, I'm talking about that living force that is in all of us. Our bodies are different. And bodies, when you go to the funeral, I mean, you know, we've all been to a funeral, we saw the body of the grandmother, this cousin. It was there. But what was different? That living force was gone. So that living force is in the animal, it's in the dog, it's in the cat, it's in the tree, it's in the human. And if we misuse that living force intentionally, we suffer. This is why there's so much suffering in the world. So we have to understand the science. But back to marriage, because, you know, that's a whole other topic.
But so you have to kind of agree on some general
Yes.
principles like value life, you said.
Value life.
Uh-huh.
See yourself as a servant more than as someone, what can you do for me? See, this kind of mentality was very strong in, like, what have you done for me lately?
Yeah,
or
oh
what
yeah.
can-
What's
But
in it for me?
it has caused so much depression, mental
It's
illness,
exploitation.
so much. Because, Rati, the soul is happy when serving the right person. That's where the happiness
I
comes.
like that. I like that.
Yeah.
You can put that on a tile.
Yeah.
The soul is happy serving the right person.
So
Yeah.
marriage is a sacrifice because, you know, a lot of people say, well, I can have this woman, I can have that woman, you know. So marriage means commitment, right? It also means opening yourself up to invite higher beings to come to our world.
Oh, you mean
Children.
children?
Yes.
Really?
Yeah.
Higher beings?
Higher beings.
That sounds interesting.
Depending on the consciousness of the parents, we attract those children. So a lot, you know, I ask people, we do a lot of parenting classes, a lot.
A lot of what?
Parenting classes.
Okay.
We have
Really?
a curriculum called Parenting for the 21st Century, and it talks about all the different
And
aspects.
we is who?
The Darcy Ziad Family Institute. Me and my husband have a nonprofit institute,
Okay.
Darcy Ziad Family Institute.
Dasi?
Ziad.
Dasi. Who is Dasi?
Darcy means servant of God.
That's your like...
That's me. and Ziad is my husband, the Islamic, which means...
You gotta love this woman. I mean, she's calling herself Dasi. I mean, actually, this is the name we're getting.
Yeah.
So-and-so Das, so-and-so
Yeah,
Dasi.
yeah.
But she's taking it and putting it in her how you call that?
Agency.
Yeah,
Yeah.
your bedrijf. What's that? Your like your profit
brand.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
Darcy
this
Ziad
I like
Family
about you. You
Institute.
like, you know, you hear it
Yeah.
and you take it. You
Yeah.
don't like make your own thing about it. You
No.
just hear it. You take it as it is.
That's the science.
Uh-huh.
So people say, Krishna, you've been through a lot. You've
Yeah.
had so many challenges. So how do you stay connected to Krishna? Why haven't you given up?
Yeah, that's what I said before I turned this thing
Because
on.
Krishna is real. Remember I said happiness comes from serving the right person, and that right person is Krishna. And he never lets you down. That's God. You can call him
Amen.
Allah or Jehovah
Amen. That's
or
true.
Yahweh.
Yeah.
And Krishna loves us so much that he comes to us through all the different ways. So I'm seeing Krishna through you, Rati.
Really?
Yeah. And hopefully you're seeing Krishna through me. You see?
Yeah.
And then that we get happy. So marriage is meant to be a joyful sacrifice, because it is. I mean, you got to give your money up, give your time up for somebody else, something else.
Yeah.
But it's worth it. So you get to be an agent for transformation if you accept to have a scientific spiritual marriage.
Wait a minute. This is another go.
Okay.
You get to be an agent for transformation
Yeah.
if you accept to
the-
have a spiritual scientific marriage.
Yeah.
Okay.
And it's not supposed to be dull and boring.
Why do I hear this now? I mean, after I don't know, I want to tell you how many attempts, yeah? I mean, my marriage lasted, about almost 10 years. Some of them were too many already. After that, I didn't bother with marriage anymore, but I wanted love, so I went after, I don't know, I mean, I went to nightclubs. I did. I was just kind of praying and just going to a nightclub and just, shaking my and hoping that somebody good would turn up. But what do you think about that experiment?
Well,
No, it didn't. No, it didn't. A lot of tears, guys.
You're
Don't
fishing
do
in
it.
the wrong ocean.
Don't do it. I was just blind, So, okay, so I tried it the Vedic way.
Yes.
It got me somewhere.
Yeah.
Then the husband just kind of,
Filtered away.
yeah, I mean, in a heavy way, which I won't, tell now, but those who know me know. I guess I dropped out of the spiritual scientific marriage somehow down the road, but here is someone who didn't.
Yeah.
So, tell us more. We need to know this.
So you get premarital education, Rati.
What? You get
Premarital education.
premarital.
Premarital. Actually,
education.
Prabhupada said that in one of his letters. He said the marriages may be performed by you, but first they should be consummate. So now our Grahasta Vision team, our members provide premarital education and others to cover before you get married. You should have at least 8 to 10 sessions where you talk about finance, you talk about children, you talk about
Like all the life
you talk
areas.
about value systems, you talk about what's important, you talk about goals. And you do this with a mature, committed counselor, therapist, educator.
So do you also find people partners?
I have done that. My husband is not so keen on doing that.
But it's not an official part of your service.
No, but I have
Okay.
done that a few times, and for the most part, they have really worked out. Thank you, Krishna.
Still married?
Still married. and
Still
happy.
married.
Yes.
Oh. Okay,
and I
but
think-
mostly it is for people that already
yeah,
have someone,
but-
and then you go through
and
this
also,
program.
Rati, we need to develop more community consciousness
Yeah,
of
that I agree.
respect for marriage, appreciation for marriage, and helping. You know how we say it takes a village to raise a
Yeah,
child?
yeah, I
it
like
takes
that.
a village to help a marriage.
Really?
Yeah, you need other people around you to support you when you get times go bad, and like I have performed marriages, and I always say to the people, do not stay in this wedding ceremony if you're not going to support this couple. If you're not going to
you
support,
tell this to the audience?
Yeah, I tell them. I say, you please leave now, no disrespect,
Oh.
because your presence here as a witness to their marriage means that you are going to support them, because that's what it takes.
Straight talk.
Yeah,
Straight
to
talk.
have a healthy marriage.
Yeah, yeah.
So we're not afraid of marriage, and we're not afraid to let that legitimate ashram manifest. Prabhupada could see the need for it, because how can you have healthy children, healthy adults, if they don't have that healthy start?
No.
So Grahasta Vision Team, our motto is healthy marriages, happy families, strong community. Healthy marriages, happy families, strong community, or strong ISKCON. Yeah.
Well, what? I mean, I'm just turning to the audience. What do you think about all this? I mean, is she making sense? If you like, you give us some reflection. I'll try to read it, even though it's a little dark in here. And maybe you have a question for Mataji, or something you have a doubt maybe, or a good tip for all of us, please feel free. You can just share it, and we'll bring it up. Okay? And if you just want to be a quiet mouse, we love you still. It doesn't matter. Don't get all like, okay, now I got. No, it's okay. But it's very nice to see that people are live and listening and staying listening. That means you have a lot to say. So I just wanted just a little, well, not a devilish question, but just, it's like, you talk beautiful and it's very hope-giving, but the reality has been very different for many of us.
Yes.
And so it's nice to hear, but how to act. Like, for example, you are married, yeah? Practical question. You're married for a long time, you meaning me or someone, and you fall in love with somebody else. So what if in this situation, if I or this person would turn to you as a counselor, what would you advise them?
Okay, so generally speaking, Rati, we're trying to, at the same time, that what makes a healthy society, period, is people with good character.
Mm-hmm.
And so part of good character means that if you have a commitment, that you honor it in good times or bad. So a lot of times, this is the way of Maya or illusion. Yes, somebody's going to be more beautiful. Somebody's going to be more this, more that. But once I've made my commitment to my spouse in the presence of God and the servants of God, then that is sort of like, I don't try to open that door to others. So I have to surrender that. Lord, I'm feeling this particular way about this person, but I'm already married, and please help me. You have to ask for help. I mean, this is Kali Yuga, and things will happen. So character means that even though I may want something else, I honor what is correct and what is right.
And you ask for help.
You ask for help. And you ask for help from the Lord and from your mentors. All of us should have mentors. We should have people who are a little more spiritually advanced than us, people that we trust, that we can go to and work with. And sometimes part of working with that may be that maybe you and your spouse need to have some counseling. Maybe there's some missing elements in your relationship that need to be tweaked a bit so that there can be some...
Tweaked? Okay, yeah.
Because sometimes we get in this detached mode, Rati. And,
like don't care.
Don't care.
And then we start to care about somebody else all of a sudden,
So,
yeah.
What is required in the celibate student life is totally different from the requirements in Grahastha life.
Yeah.
And that's totally different from the requirements in sannyas life. So a lot of times spiritual people, especially in the neophyte stage, they get mixed up and they try to be celibate brahmacharis while they're married, or celibate brahmacharinis, and that is not what should happen there. It's not even what Krishna wants. You see, so
I can see why we need to be educated also about this. It's also it's not that we just we also want to know, of course, the Bhagavad Gita and the Bhagavatam. But apart from that, in our practical lives, we could use, most of us could use some counseling, and especially it's nice if it's from devotees,
And especially
good
people
points.
who have experience with marriage and family, and who have healthy marriages, and who will be honest with you. Because believe it or not, even some of the best marriages that you see, I bet they've gone through hell at some point.
Hell?
Yeah, because we're living out here, Rati. There's financial challenge, there's family challenge, there's health challenge. You know what I'm saying? So it's not that you're not going to experience some challenge.
So, this lady, Susie Orman or something?
Yes.
She's supposed to be expert with finances, and she talks about your net worth, this and that, and all that, all very step to step and whatever, I don't know. So suppose I'm taking your course and I'm in the session of the finances. What would you tell me? Like, I have my partner, we want to have 3 children, say. I mean, would you say, okay, that'll cost you that much? Or what is this about, this finance part?
Finance is looking realistically at your financial state of being and then your goals. Like, where are we now and where do we want to be?
Let's say the goal is to have and be able to raise 3 children.
Right. And then to help you figure out how to do that within the spiritual paradigm. So let's say somebody might want to raise 3 children in a farm community. Somebody might want to raise 3 children in an urban environment. So the financial requirements in each of those situations would be different. So you look at that.
Yeah.
And one of the things is, Rati, and I'm so glad you said this point, as spiritual scientists, we've got to figure out how to collectively work together. Like this independent sort of living is not
artificial.
It's so, and it's
isolated.
Maybe 1 or 2 people at the top of the rung benefit, but for us, we need collective gardening, collective bartering, figuring out how to work with like-minded souls to fulfill our needs.
Cooperate.
So when you're thinking about having children, you want to think about a community that can accommodate your family or that you can help to be a part of. Yeah.
Okay. Now that I like that. It's not just me and my Disney World family idea, but I just then you would maybe say to me, well, if you want to have 3 children, maybe you can consider going to that and that farm community.
Yes.
It'll be easier.
Yes.
Than to have to rent expensive lofts in some city just because you're attached to the idea of living in that city. So you have an overview of how to best situate, and being open to cooperating with others
and
in
you
that.
Figure out what you need actually. Like a lot of us have artificial needs.
Yes.
And we don't really need all this stuff.
No.
Like in America, I don't know about other countries, but there's literally an epidemic of storages units where people put stuff in storage for years, paying thousands of dollars.
Never even opened there. Just put more stuff in there.
So do you need that stuff?
It's hoarding.
It's hoarding. And you won't be happy like that.
No. We miss something. We know that. But it's not the next plastic thing. No. Okay.
Relationships, Rati, are the essence of joy. In other words, having healthy relationships with
It's
God.
another tile. It's a tile. Write it down. Relationships are the essence of joy. Rasa, right? That's rasa.
Because relationships can make you or break you. And so our real wealth is in healthy spiritual relationships with others.
And that could beyond family, beyond marriage, after
and
marriage.
That is the community that supports.
And then you feel supported.
And see, when you have healthy marriages, Rati, you're not, eventually, this is the part of it, you're going to take care of your elders. The healthy marriages, the healthy communities are going to figure out how to take care of old people who no longer can fend for themselves.
They took care of you.
That's right. You got to figure it out. And Krishna will help you when he sees that is the goal, that is the energy that you're putting into that.
Yes. Yeah. Nice. I see we're getting some replies. I'm just going to see if I can, suppose I accidentally cut, I'm going to start again. Yeah, so turn in again. Try to read what is here. Just a second. No, it's my phone is trying to save energy or something. So bear with me, otherwise it will be a part 2.
Okay.
And my old eyes, which are... Let's see. Here's Chakravarti Ratan Haribol from Brussels. He says, happy marriage, everyone, expecting... Wait, I'm going to find the extra eyes. Where is it? Pillow? Wait, just a second. Just a second. Excuse me, guys. 1 second. You get to see the nice fan, which apparently now we don't need. Okay, here. Happy marriage, everyone expecting. But in many cases, it's not happy ending. Yeah, we know all about that. Please explain, he asks, about healthy marriage. What is the difference with Vedic marriage? I don't know exactly between what and what, but healthy marriage and Vedic marriage. Is that your question, Chakravarti? What's the difference between a healthy marriage and a Vedic marriage? Meaning like ancient Vedic, which we know very little about in my case. Maybe you can say something about that.
I prefer to use the word Vaishnava marriage.
Vaishnava? What's a Vaishnava?
Vaishnava marriage is a healthy marriage in which you see each other as servants. You see yourself as a servant of your spouse, and your spouse sees him or herself as your servant. and you work together.
Yeah.
You do things together to take care of your business, your spiritual business, your material business. We have, that's a very good question, Chakravarti, and if you are able to get a copy of our book, Heart and Soul Connection, a devotional guide to marriage service and love,
Yeah.
we talk a lot about healthy marriage in this book.
Healthy
we talk
marriage.
a lot about what to look for in a partner before you get married.
Oh.
There's a whole chapter about compatibility. We talk about how to have open and honest communication, which is very important. And we talk about how to balance your sadhana with your family life and how to see your marriage as your part of your devotional service, not something separate.
Yeah, yeah.
It's part of it. It's your offering to Krishna. It's your offering to Guru.
Yeah.
It's just like when we make a plate to offer to the Lord, we try to make a beautiful plate, don't we? We
Right.
cut things nicely, make nice colors. So similarly, when you offer your life or your marriage to God, you want to offer a marriage that has kindness in it, that has truthfulness in it, that has
Understanding.
forgiveness in it,
Oh,
that
very
has
important.
understanding in it, that has a willingness to serve in it. All of these are elements in a healthy marriage, and you have a good opportunity in marriage to become really purified.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, because yes.
And to learn about
And
yourself.
to learn about yourself.
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know. And
Yes.
so with a good marriage, a healthy marriage, you have a team player. Together everyone accomplishes more. And you work out the kinks. You help each other.
Kinks, like
Kinks means the challenges,
obstacles.
the obstacles. You acknowledge them. You know, we don't have to pretend that everything's all, euphoria, because it's not always going to be like that. But if you have a team player and you learn to respect one another, allow each one to have their differences, because what the social scientist tells us is that a lot of people in marriage, they have ongoing things that they never agree on.
Right.
But what makes the difference is how they respond or respect each other with those disagreements.
Yeah, and also I think the tone of the discussions.
The tone.
You know,
Yeah.
if there is comes in a hostility or
Yes.
like
No
an
cursing or
argumentative
profane
spirit,
words,
or
yeah.
just like me against you. You start out, it's like you and me against the world. Okay, very nice. But then it becomes you against me, and then and the children are like waiting till it's over,
Yeah.
And this was my turning point when I decided I gotta divorce because it's getting too much. Like when my son was 2.5, and he was listening to our arguments and running to me, Mama, don't cry. And then he said, Papa, don't scream. And I thought, okay, that's it. I can't put him through more of this. It's just too much. We didn't, he doesn't deserve to be exposed to this. It's just animals, That was very, very sad. But
Yes.
anyhow, that was just a little part of me.
We have this book that the Grahasta Vision team has put out recently. It's a very little pamphlet. It's called the Vaishnava Marriage Challenge. And it talks about how to actually apply this verse, Tranada Pisa, Nichena, Taror Pieces, Amanina, Manatena, Kirtina, Sadahui.
What does that
That
mean?
one should be more humble than a blade of grass, more tolerant than a tree,
The
and
key
ready
verse.
to offer
All respect to others,
in such a
expecting
state,
none
in
for
return.
himself. In
Yes.
such a state,
Then one can remember the Lord always, or call the Lord's name always, which is the goal of life.
The
to
goal
be
of
in
life.
Yeah.
yes.
So how do we actually apply that principle? And this book is so wonderful because it says practically what you do to show that. And being humble doesn't mean you allow yourself to be a mat that someone walks over. That's not humility.
No?
No, humility means the honest ability to recognize differences in others and to recognize that you are dependent on the mercy of Krishna, and to recognize that there but for the grace of God go you and anybody else's shoes.
Yeah, that's right, that can happen.
Yeah.
In fact, that is, as far as I have experienced, some of Krishna's punishing ways is like this. Like if we get proud again and think that I'm better than this person. I mean, I remember simple thing, nothing to do with marriage, but like I used to be a Sankirtan devotee, distributing books, all fired up, and then I would go in the Mongol Arctic. I would jump because I knew I needed mercy, and I was young and I could jump. I was passionate. And there would always be some sick devotees. You could just barely move, and they'll be there or sitting down. So, and well, I'm not jumping now,
See.
I mean, it's a matter of time. Oh
bad.
yeah, I mean, I am sometime, thank God. But I know now, that well, if we get too critical about things or we feel better than others, Krishna will put us in the exact same or worse position.
Yes.
Just to get a bit of piece of that, just because it's not pleasing. And if the goal is to please and serve Krishna, and we become all proud that I'm a better servant of Krishna, what to speak if that happens in marriages? It's over. I mean, there's the sweetness, there is the respect. It's out the window, and we become again punarmusik bhava. We become again cats and dogs that we used to be, behavior-wise. I am anyway. I was. I don't have to be. I don't have to be Hare Krishna. I don't have to be. Because I'm associating with more advanced devotees like you.
Yeah, wow.
Yeah.
That's another question.
Yeah.
But I find also, Rati, that chanting every day attentively is one of the best keys to keeping ourselves in check. No matter what, you just call Krishna's name. And sometimes you feel it, sometimes you don't. But because this is the blessing for this age, that Krishna is personally in his name. So love is in his name, justice, freedom, everything good is in the name of God. And as we chant it sincerely, our heart becomes more and more purified.
Right.
And then Krishna in the heart will give us guidance how to deal with people and things in a way that we never thought we would be able to do.
That's right.
So that's, that chanting helps us also.
Very much.
And I would say that I would love to see a lot more training in the Vaishnava communities, women and men, how to have healthy relationships. What do they look like?
Yeah.
We all carry some baggage. We've all been wounded, traumatized.
Many times, many lives, yeah.
And so when you get in a relationship, all your baggage is dumped out, and all the spouse's baggage is dumped out.
And the kids sort through the mess, wondering what to make of it.
Yes. So if you can, have some kind of training before about healthy relationships, some kind of release of that baggage or understanding at least what it means.
Do you mean like therapy or?
Sometimes therapy is good, yeah. Like let's say you grew up, not you, but someone grew up in a family where there was abuse. It's going to be very difficult for that person to be in a healthy marriage because they're not going to trust.
Right, that's right.
So being able to examine that and being able to understand that and look at it with help is very important.
That's my story. I was abused as a child, like 10, 11 years, and that was the first experience with any man because I didn't have a father. So then, some family member took an inappropriate interest in me, as to kind of put it like that, several times. Well, that was it. I remember, again, real personal, you know me by now, my audience, that, I remember sometimes it would be difficult between me and my husband because I would just remember this other experience, And I had to spend many hours, money, therapies, different ones, to work through that in my life, to kind of separate that, to understand, because just to say, well, that's my karma, Haribol, no, that was not enough. I had to actually emotionally process it, go through different rounds of therapy, and I'm happy to say, I mean, as far as I'm able to be self-aware, I have processed it. Some or other, it's kind of ruined my happy, material enjoyment life. But in my age now, 56, I'm getting to experience that, not just as a concept, but as an experience, that was actually another blessing. That's like my most bitter blessing, but it's a blessing. But I couldn't have said that to you 20 or 30 or 40 years ago. That is as they say, we also get wise through the years.
Yes. Yes.
So yeah, I can attest to that. It's very hard to have
Trust in
faith
them.
and
Yeah.
in even the idea
Yeah.
of a happy marriage.
Intimacy.
If you don't have a father,
Yeah.
if I had to go and find my father when I was 17, when my mother was in the, how do you call that? Well, the madhouse is a bit of an old-fashioned statement, but yeah, she had a breakdown, and I thought, well, I can't depend on you. You don't even know how to take care of yourself. What about my father? So I went to look for my father, and he turned out to be 82. Yeah, I was like 16, 17, and he was 82.
Oh my Krishna.
Yeah, it was quite an experience, and he was, like adamantly living by himself, but unable to take care of himself, really. That was very obvious. But I didn't, feel the affection or the obligation to do that, and he was in another city. So it's all very, like, shocking, Yeah, and that's just a few of the things.
Look at that, sweetie.
Yeah.
So if that's your story, and thank you for your honest and
Hare
sharing,
Krishna.
because that helps people a lot of times. If you can imagine, Rati, how many people have different experiences like that. Well, this is Kali Yuga. This is like a horrible age, except for the one glorious movement of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. But most people have been traumatized
Yeah.
in some way or other. So to get ready for a healthy marriage is going to take a little work, but
Yeah.
it can be done. I mean, we're living witnesses that it can be done. So the chanting, and you get therapy if you need to, and you get in association of people really you love and trust, because that's so healing.
Yeah, that's true.
That's very healing on its own merit. And people who understand that, in a mature stage of devotional service, you have gone through a lot.
Yeah.
And you've realized a lot, and then you can help others.
Yeah, because it does help, like, to foster a compassionate outlook somehow, because, yeah, like in my job also, I help people. I work for the government, and I help people with disabilities to find jobs. And I know it's more difficult for them,
Yes.
but, and I also know some of the things they've gone through, because I've been through them, or I've seen others going through them. And that just, helps me, stops me from judging them too harshly, so they stay open, and then they can release some of their things and feel better and start believing that there's options. They can look at it differently. Yeah, that's what kind of enlivens me about my work, that it may not be so spiritual, but it is helping me, and to see that whatever I've gone through, I can now understand in others, and it can help them, kind of be with it, which is another point we had in the beginning, that I'm fascinated by you, because you look like 35, but you're not,
No,
and you've been through so much. Yeah, you're 70 years old. 70, guys, she's 70.
68.
68, okay. Hoping to be 70 is another topic.
As long as I can serve Prabhupada, I hope to be 70, that's for sure.
Yeah, that's a strong current, huh? To want to serve, that
Yeah.
helps, huh?
Yeah, yes it is.
Wonderful.
That's the whole motivation right there.
All right, so to finish, if someone thinks, wow, that sounds really nice, the Grihasta Vision team, if I want to get in touch, or I have a question or a problem, or I want to do that course, I know someone I like, but I don't know if it's going to work, what should they do?
Okay, so we have a website. It's called VaishnavaFamilyResources.org.
Okay.
Vaishnava.
Vaishnava Family Resources.org. Okay.
And you can ask a question or leave, an inquiry.
You got articles there,
There
or?
are hundreds of articles
Really?
there. Yeah.
Okay.
About all kinds of topics, how to have a healthy marriage, what to deal with the sex, even how to deal with pornography. Everything is on that website
Okay.
for the person who
So it's
needs
real
it.
talk.
It's real talk, and it's devotional talk, and it's non-judgmental talk, and
Okay.
it's talk that really has a goal to help people. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Makes me curious, and I feel strangely, because I didn't lift a pen for this company, but it makes me feel a little bit proud, and I started reading. I got your book, right? I started reading, and the tone, again, I'm a musician, I like to think. I'm sensitive to tones, and tone of the book so far, what I read, is very uplifting, and it's encouraging. It's even stimulating. Like, we can do this. We can do this better if we just know how. Like Oprah says, you did the best you could at the time, right? So we all did, but we can do better. If we know better, we can do better.
Maya Angelou, that's her famous statement.
Okay, so she was repeating. It's one of her heroes. Anyway, you're one of my heroes now.
Yeah,
I want
you're
to
one of my heroes, Rati.
thank
I love
you.
that you're doing this service for others and opening these lines of communication where people can, find out more and connect more. It's important.
Enrich. Anything else you want to add?
Our Prabhupada says our Krishna is a great family man.
Really?
That's what he says.
Our Krishna?
Our Krishna is a great family man, and we must practice how to be a part of his family.
Achyuta Gotra. Yeah.
So, when we get married and interact with our spouses, our children, we're practicing how to be a part of Krishna's family. Even when we interact with other devotees, we're practicing how to be a part of Krishna's
Achyuta
family.
Gotra,
And if it's important for us to be a part of the family of love personified, we need to be practicing.
We need to be able to love, to dare to love, right?
And learn the skills, that are helpful in that way.
And it's like an uplifting love. It's not the whatever they put down our throats is love. It's not love. It's lust. I mean, I used to not like that quote at all, but I'm telling you, I've tried it, and it's really true. This what we consider love, guys. It's not love. It's exploitation, and you know it. When you do it, you know it.
That's right.
And I did it, and I know it. And it didn't give me anything that I really wanted. So I think that we have similar experience because we're just not the body. So if we can try to satisfy all the holes in all kinds of ways, but it's not us. So there's always going to be something in you which remains empty and hankering. And then we think, well, I may need it again, or with somebody else, or a different color, or a different size, or no. Yeah, no, it's not that. But then there's this strong propaganda machine, which is like a tsunami, in all our, communication channels. It's like, sex is the thing. No, it's not. But, we have to become more powerful in our propaganda than, Maya's, wide receiver. She's like everywhere. And she's putting the poison in the eyes, the ears, all these poor kids of ours, this
flooded with
crap,
huge, intense Maya.
Yeah. So what? This is maybe another personal question, but we're getting personal here. So how do you feel like, for example, you're from America, right? You live in America. Now you live in Vrindavan, but you come from America. It's a final point, because it's enough, I think. But the thing is, so when you look at the hip-hop, the rap scene, and all the lyrics, what would you say to about that, or to them?
You know what, Rati? I love music. And when I was growing up, we had all kinds of love songs by the Temptations. And
they were sweet. They were not so
and
gross.
They were love songs.
Yeah.
And I always think that every one of those songs that we liked can be applied to Krishna. Ooh, baby, baby, I left you a long time ago, now I want you back. Or please give your love back to me. These were innocent songs about love, because the soul hankers for love.
Right.
That unconditional exchange. So when I see a lot of these people with these really degraded lyrics, I pray for them, Rati. And I say, Krishna, if some way they could take that talent and use it in your service, if you could please help them. Because Prabhupada said it's not that these crazy people don't have merit. It's called Sukrishna and Duskrishna.
Mm.
But the Sukrishna, we use it for good, positive, uplifting things. And Duskrishna is when you use your intelligence or your ability for negative things.
For degrading things.
Yes, so we want to pray for these people because this is really an onslaught of, it's like pouring acid really, literally on the souls of the living entities to hear all these degraded sounds and pictures and things like that. But the good news is because the Sankirtan movement is now becoming more and more prevalent, and this sound, Shabda Brahman, with the chanting, is really overpowering this thing. So we have to, as you said, be very careful that we don't listen to all that negativity. But at the same time, we really want to beg the mercy of the Lord to allow these people to use their talent in His service.
That's nice. That's another all-encompassing statement. It's not like you're not in a tug of war with them, or and when people like that would like become interested in Krishna conscious, that's like sometimes that happens, then they can do wonders with their gift of words. Yeah.
And other people.
This boy, Bhakta Reggie, he was a doctor even. He was a devotee around the Dallas temple, a friend of Krishna, and he made this, in the 90s, he made this CD called it's a complete like hardcore music, but then with very strong rap lyrics. It's all like he's just going with verses about from the Bhagavad Gita. Yeah, have you ever heard it? No, it's cool. I don't know. I try to find him on internet because he's talented, clearly. And get on the street with bhakti. I mean, it's very, very. Then you can see if you have strong grooves of music with the Bhagavad Gita. I mean, it's like irresistible. It takes the mind immediately, And we need different, I feel you need different kind of beats and grooves for different kind of people who are conditioned differently. Like I used to really, really like black music, that relaxed me through my teenage, I could really, Earth, Wind and Fire, Stevie Wonder, Aretha Franklin, beautiful. And then to have these kind of different kind of kirtans, which I sometimes like to think I inject a little of the groovy thing, because that's what I was raised on and what I raised myself on because I loved it the most, So if we can have these different kind of flavors, not just Vrindavan Bhav, city stomping kirtans, because people are,
everything for Krishna.
Yeah.
Everything somehow.
Okay.
So when my children were little, I used to make up songs
Really?
for them sometimes, And one of them was, Lord, look us over, we're your devotees. We keep making our obeisances. No more Maya, no more fuss. Please take us back to Godhead on the Hare Krishna bus. The Hare Krishna bus, that's the one for us. The Hare Krishna bus, the Hare Krishna bus.
Wonderful. Lovely. Lovely,
That's
lovely.
how we'll go back.
Fantastic.
Our voice is suitable.
I want to be on that bus. I want to just tag along. All right. Thank you so much,
Well,
dear
thank you,
Mataji.
Rati.
It was a wonderful ride on your bus when your train of thoughts. Very nice.
Yeah.
We also have here, Chakravarti says, thanks a lot for a wonderful explanation. Hari Bol. We've got Janava Mata, Hare Krishna. She's very nice. Do you know her? Yeah, she's in New Zealand. She's a firebomb. She has a lot of energy, a lot of great preacher. Janava, great to see you. And Omar, you're still here. That's a Bhakta from our temple. And we've got my god sister. Let me see what's now her. She's a doctor in cancer, I think. And yes. And but what's her name? Sorry, just forgot your beautiful devotional name. Excuse me, but I know what you're. And Vegavati. Oh, that's your god sister.
Yeah, Hare Krishna Vegavati.
Yeah. We've got people, and there are going to be more. So, dear devotees and friends, if you liked anything that you heard here, feel free to get in touch with what she called the Grihasta Vision Team, which actually you having you have a function there, right? What's your function?
It was the president of the
Really,
Grihasta
just
Vision
see,
Team.
just see. Just see, she walks her talk. First of all, she has a marriage which lasts like many years, 27.
Yeah.
Yeah, then she got 10 children, raising them very nicely. That's not enough for her. She wants to be joking. She takes the responsibility of helping others, which must certainly be very, very pleasing to Srila Prabhupada. You're Srila Prabhupada's dear daughter. I'm honored to be with you. And I thank you so much for your cordial, generous time. And I hope that this video reaches many, and that depends, by the way, on all of you. Try to share it. If you like it, share it. And you don't have to share it on your page. You can send it to people that you think might benefit from it privately. Thank you so much. So my data is running out, and I want to take you to the Yamuna later. So we'll round up here. And Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Gaur Premanande. Hari Hari Bol. Jai Vrindavan Dham ki jai. Radhe Radhe Sham ki jai.